On the 14th of August, 2005, fighter jets intercepted a passenger airliner over Greek airspace. What they found inside the cockpit was something pilots are trained for but never expect to actually witness. Nobody at the controls, the captain's seat empty, the co-pilot slumped forward, motionless. The plane was flying itself, perfectly, on autopilot, with 121 people inside and every single one of them already unconscious or worse. This is the story of Helios Airways Flight 522, the flight that became a ghost ship in the sky, and the reason it happened is more disturbing than almost anyone expected. Helios 522 departed Larnaca, Cyprus, just after 9 a.m. on its way to Athens with a final stop planned in Prague. The aircraft was a Boeing 737, a common, reliable workhorse of commercial aviation, 115 passengers, 6 crew. Before departure, ground engineers had performed routine maintenance on the aircraft overnight, checking the pressurization system after a reported fault on a previous flight. As part of that check, a critical switch on the overhead panel had been set to manual mode to test the system. That switch controls how the aircraft regulates cabin pressure as it climbs. In automatic mode, it adjusts continuously, keeping the cabin at a safe, breathable pressure equivalent to a few thousand feet of altitude, even when the plane itself is cruising at 35,000 feet. After the maintenance check, the engineers were supposed to return that switch to automatic. They did not. The flight took off normally, climbed normally, and as it climbed, the cabin altitude warning horn began to sound. Here is where the story takes its first devastating turn. The warning horn used on this aircraft type is identical, audibly indistinguishable, to a separate warning that indicates a problem with the plane's takeoff configuration. Pilots hear that second warning constantly during routine pre-flight checks on the ground. It's a familiar, low-stakes sound. In the cockpit, the captain and first officer heard the horn, and according to the subsequent investigation, they appear to have misidentified it. They radioed the airline's operations center on the ground, describing a takeoff configuration problem even though the plane was already airborne, a context in which that specific warning shouldn't have been possible. The ground engineer they reached struggled to make sense of the report. The conversation went back and forth, confused, technical, increasingly strained, while the aircraft continued climbing. It climbed through 10,000 feet, through 14,000, through 18,000. The cabin was depressurizing the entire time. Human beings can survive without supplemental oxygen for a meaningful length of time at low altitude. At high altitude, that window collapses dramatically. Above approximately 25,000 feet of cabin altitude, which is what the people inside Helios 522 were now experiencing, despite the plane itself flying even higher, useful consciousness lasts only a matter of seconds to a couple of minutes, depending on the individual and their level of exertion. The pilots, focused on troubleshooting what they believed was a takeoff configuration issue, did not put on their oxygen masks in time. At around 18,000 feet of altitude, oxygen masks dropped automatically in the passenger cabin exactly as designed, a built-in safety response to the loss of cabin pressure. Passengers, many confused and frightened, would have followed the instructions printed on the seatback cards in front of them, the masks providing breathable oxygen for a limited supply window. But up in the cockpit, something had gone catastrophically wrong. The flight crew's masks were not connected to an unlimited supply the way some assume, and whether due to the confusion of the moment, the specific nature of their troubleshooting task, or hypoxia setting in faster than they could respond to, the pilots did not successfully get themselves onto oxygen in time. One by one, before they understood what was truly happening to their own bodies, they lost consciousness. The aircraft, still flying, still climbing, leveled off at its programmed cruise altitude. The autopilot did exactly what it was told to do. There was simply no one left awake to tell it anything else. For the next several hours, Helios 522 flew on autopilot toward Greek airspace, completely unresponsive to any radio call. Air traffic controllers tried repeatedly to reach the flight. Nothing. As the aircraft approached its programmed destination Athens without any pilot input, without descent, without any sign of human control, Greek authorities made the decision to scramble fighter jets. 2 F-16s intercepted the airliner. What the fighter pilots saw as they pulled alongside the 737 and looked through its windows has become one of the most chilling visual accounts in modern aviation history. The captain's seat, empty. The co-pilot, slumped forward in his seat, not moving. Oxygen masks dangling in the cabin behind the cockpit. Some passengers visible, none responding to the presence of the military jets, now flying in close formation beside them. And then, something the fighter pilots did not expect. A man not one of the original pilots appeared briefly in the cockpit. A flight attendant, who had managed to don a portable oxygen supply, had entered the flight deck. He had survived. He had understood on some level what was happening, and he was trying desperately to do something about it. He was not a pilot. He had no training to fly the aircraft, but he had gotten that far. He had gotten into the cockpit, conscious, breathing, trying. The fighter pilots watched him gesture, apparently attempting to signal or communicate. There was no time, no training, and ultimately, no way for him to regain control of the aircraft and bring it down safely. At 11:50 a.m., with its fuel supply finally exhausted after hours of flight on autopilot, Helios 522's engines flamed out. The aircraft, no longer able to maintain altitude, began to descend uncontrolled. It crashed into a mountainous area near Grammatico, north of Athens. All 121 people on board were killed. The investigation that followed identified a chain of failures, each one individually survivable, that combined into something unsurvivable. The pressurization switch left in manual mode after maintenance was the root mechanical cause. It should have been caught and corrected. It was not. The ambiguous warning horn sounding identical for two completely different problems created the fatal misdiagnosis. Investigators specifically flagged this design flaw, noting that the same alert tone serving dual unrelated purposes created a dangerous opportunity for misinterpretation, especially under the early effects of hypoxia, which itself impairs judgment before a person even realizes anything is wrong. That detail is crucial. Hypoxia doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel like suffocating. It often feels like nothing at all, a creeping impairment of judgment and awareness that leaves a person increasingly unable to recognize the danger they're in, even as it becomes lethal. The pilots may have been operating with degraded cognitive function for several minutes before they lost consciousness entirely, troubleshooting a problem they misunderstood, while the actual problem, the one that would kill them, went unaddressed and unrecognized. In the aftermath, the airline faced intense scrutiny. Maintenance procedures were criticized, training protocols were re-examined. But the case became a defining study in something larger than one airline's specific failures: the danger of an ambiguous warning system, and the terrifying speed and silence of oxygen deprivation at altitude. Following the investigation, recommendations were made to address warning system design, pushing for cockpit alerts that clearly distinguish between different types of emergencies, so a crew under pressure isn't left to guess which crisis they're actually facing. The flight attendant who entered the cockpit in those final minutes has been remembered by investigators and aviation historians as someone who, lacking any training to fly the aircraft, still tried. There was nothing more he could have done. The window for any of it had already closed hours earlier, the moment a single switch was never moved back into place. A switch, a horn that meant two different things, and a slow, silent loss of awareness that no one inside that cockpit recognized until it was already too late to matter. 121 people boarded a routine flight that morning. None of them knew that the plane's fate had already been decided before it ever left the ground. If you enjoyed this video, check out the next video on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories, disasters, mysteries, and moments that changed history forever.